Hello. October 2023 might be an interesting month for you if you are an African between the ages of 15 and 22 with proper documentation to prove it and have founded a business venture, be it for profit or cause oriented, that has already shown promise in terms of revenue and or social value based outreach within your locality. So if you meet all those criteria at a minimum, then in October 2023 you could apply for the Anzisha Prize, which is a 3-year fellowship that is supposed to help you stabilize and expand your venture. There are many good things inside that fellowship apart from its reputation. So let's get to those. Well, there are 6 awards inside the fellowship that I would like to convey to you right now, so you can also understand what lies behind this competition and why it might be important for you to start thinking about it right now, given the fact that the applications are to be made to repeat in October 2023. The fellowship would come to you if you win this competition in 2024. Alright? So, the number 1 award that you get inside the fellowship is biannual cash stipends to eligible fellows in year 1 and year 3 of the fellowship. So what that means is that not every fellow is going to get these cash stipends. Okay? As to what the eligibility would be for these specific stipends, the Anzisha Prize committee has not exactly specified, and that may be because they would assess the different candidates that have already won the fellowship and decide based upon their own criteria that they would develop for the next cycle, which is to say this whole 2023-24 cycle, when the fellowship is already in motion. Okay? Well, let's get to the next point, and that is the fellowship also gives you short-term educational opportunities, internships, and technical training. Okay? Then there is a job creation prize, and this is given in year 2 to that particular fellow who has created the most job opportunities through his or her venture. Okay? So suppose you have 10 fellows within a particular cycle, and you happen to be the one who owns the venture that created the greatest number of jobs, then you would get this prize in year 2. Okay? And then there is the revenue growth prize. Well, what if you fail to create the most jobs but you are able to get the most profits among your batchmates. In that case, you'll get this revenue growth prize also in year 2. And then there is a storytelling prize. So I couldn't create the most number of jobs, and nor could I bring in the most profits. Maybe I created some jobs and I did generate some profit, but I am able to tell the story of my venture and its benefits to the audience beyond the Anzisha crowd, okay, like the wider audience, and I'm able to communicate fantastically about my venture to them, and I am also able to inspire them through my story, so that other people would also come and join the entrepreneurship bandwagon, right? Because we do like that bandwagon. And then there's the number 6 prize, and that is integration systems and processes prize. So what this is really about is how good your business model is, okay, and how well you have articulated it and developed it within the fellowship, within the first year, let's say, because you will be getting a lot of inputs and you will be interacting with other experts that are part of this fellowship as trainers and so forth. So within that context, you would be refining your business model. And if your business model turns out to be the most promising, with all its components working together nicely, well articulated, then you would get this particular prize, which is, to repeat, integration systems and processes prize. Okay. Now there's one more thing I would like to tell you beyond these prizes. There are 2 components to this. One is whether your venture has already brought in revenue, generated profits. Not necessarily huge amounts of profits, but profits nonetheless, and is showing promise that it could bring in greater profits, okay, at scale. It could be expanded. Either that, or you could show that your venture has substantial social benefits, and the scope of those benefits and the outreach of your venture could be expanded. Okay? You could reach out to more people in the future if you had this fellowship. Okay? If you could show this in your application, okay, then you would be a good candidate. However, you also would have shown good performance already in what you have done so far. Okay? So this is the nature of this whole application and the Anzisha Prize competition. Now, you don't have to be the only owner of this venture, okay? But you have to be the main owner. You may have co-owners, but you are the main owner of your venture, and you are not only the sort of ideational founder of your business, but you're also the main in charge of the operations. Okay, and you actually are the main person who would have articulated the business model. Okay, in other words, in all ways conceivable, you are the main owner and founder of your venture. And yet you could have co-owners, okay, but they're not the main ones. They are more like people who work together with you, but you were the leader. You led them to a certain direction and through this venture. Okay, so you need to show leadership qualities. And to repeat, you have to be an African national. Okay, so in other words, you have to be a national of a country that is part of the African Union. Although they haven't said it quite like this, but I am suggesting it on my own. And your business has to be based in Africa. Okay, and it should be for African customers or clientele. So you cannot just have a business that, while based in Africa, merely exports to people abroad. That probably is not the most ideal situation for the Anzisha Prize, okay? Because it is supposed to be about encouraging entrepreneurship locally and helping out people locally, be it through the goods or the services that your venture provides. Okay. Speaking of that, goods or services, there is no real restriction on what type of business you have. Okay, you could be the founder of a plumbing business. You could be the founder of a distribution center, perhaps. Maybe you distribute certain types of agricultural outputs. So your business is really about distributing, okay? Or maybe you founded some sort of a center that helps out elderly people. Or how about an animal welfare center? Okay, so it could be any type of business, so long as it is within legal limits. And what is important is that you are able to show value to your community. Okay, aside from illustrating through actual evidence, prior data, okay, the promise of your business, that it has already turned a profit or actually added to the value of people in the community. And if it is encouraged, it would be of far greater benefit to your society and or your economy. Okay, so even if you haven't yet founded your venture, okay, and this is July 2023, but you have an idea and you believe you could found a venture, okay, then I would suggest that you found it in July, this very month. Start it, okay, and by the time it is October, you would probably have generated some revenue or you would otherwise be able to show its benefits to your community. Okay, if it is a social welfare type of venture, and then you can apply for this Anzisha Prize. Even if you don't win it this time around, you would have started, and you could make another application in October 2024 for a fellowship in 2025. Okay, and that's the way to sort of think about it anyway, unless you have a running venture and it already meets the criteria that I've talked about. Okay, so you got to remember, you should not be below 15 years of age, nor should you be above 22 years of age. Okay, get right down to it if you believe you deserve the Anzisha Prize. Alright, so I have included the link to the web page, how to make that application, where to make it. Okay, and I could also verbalize it here: anzishaprize.org. Check the link below. And my name is Piyush Mathur. I am also the owner of the Facebook group Rich People Help Poor People. You are invited to join that too, but definitely subscribe to this YouTube channel. Alright? Thank you and all the best. Any questions, comments, discussions you could do right below this video. I look forward to it. Bye bye.